Crowd surrounding us here, the Samsung World Gymnasium.
We've definitely filled up by game number 3.
Oh, yes.
Korean crowd's notorious for not being able to get in the seats for game number 1, but by game number 3, full house here for KT versus Griffin. Definitely an achievement in itself, given that Griffin's fan base is still growing and growing with their first split in the LCK, and this series is growing in the same way. We've had 2 games kind of dominated by Urgot Kai'Sa as a duo in different ways. You know, the 1-3-1 draft in game number 2, the team fighting power in game number 1. But now we go back to the start of the season because one of those awesome dudes, in fact, Atlas, you'd have to say the best awesome dude player.
The awesomest dude player.
Was Viper. Awesome dudes, in case you guys are joining us and weren't watching the regular season, was the term given because OGN's AR overlay just said AD. They just stuck with AD, even though we had Mages and Yasuos and everyone running bot lane. So AD, awesome dudes represented. Yasuo, Vladimir. The Vladimir is still undefeated, 7-0. Yasuo, another pick for Chovy and Viper, but Viper taking it, and it does mean they're not going to really have too much lane presence against Kai'Sa Alistar.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those lanes that Kai'Sa actually feels pretty good into. Not often one of those things, but you can see, I mentioned the win rate not being high.
By the end,
Viper.
they started to force it a bit out of meta as the meta tried to turn, and it seemed a little bit lifeless. So you're right, 1 and 3 is not the best stat line, but Viper has proven one thing, and that's he can play anything in the bot lane. This is a guy who's played Kled bot lane, he's played Darius bot lane, GP. Remember his champion pool halfway through? Ired is a top laner. He played so many mages, and non-AD carries bot lane, Aurelia, Teemo. This was all Viper. He's definitely been a trendsetter. He's dialing it back, bringing back the Yasuo now. Certainly some potential for Yasuo to pop off, but is the cost going to be a free farm to potentially fed Kai'Sa?
Well, Tarzan's looking to say no to Papa Smithy. They do have some vision available in the river, but not here in this Tribe Rush. As the fight has started, Viper wants to find the knockup as Lahenz is just going to eat the cow. That is steak for dinner. Fantastic head button flash from Mana, but he gets pinged back, and first blood goes to the Yasuo.
Mistake by Mana there, didn't realize he could be all in, and then perfect on the seismic shove from Tarzan. A great Taliyah player, just like his opposite number score. Nice advantage bot side, and Yasuo crucially picks up the first blood.
Absolutely amazing stuff here from Griffin. This was the lane that was going to be a bit of a problem. Shouldn't be now.
And that's why we saw Jinx versus Kai'Sa. You follow that logic, Jinx can't lane against the strong laners. Maybe you could pick anything into Kai'Sa, and definitely Yasuo is one step further. We're going to a melee carry in the bot side. It does get them a nice lead. Great gank timing by Tarzan, not met by the Olaf. One thing that Tarzan is able to know that I don't think enough people do against both Olaf and also the Gragas, Predator Gragas. If you're facing a Predator jungler, he does not want to fight until after his first shot. He wants 650 gold, second jungle item, and boots so that he actually has a keystone. It's like he doesn't have a keystone if he's fighting earlier. So if you gank before that window comes in, you're very unlikely to be counter-ganked, and the gank came up big.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. The timing for the level 3, really beautiful. Does mean that he falls behind when it comes to the camps. You can see score a couple ahead. Tarzan looking to take away this Rift Scuttler. He's hiding. The right position. Score gives him the respect that he deserves. Tarzan will take his first Rift Scuttler for 2 games.
That's definitely a weight off his shoulders.
Yeah.
Desperate for the Rift Scuttlers. Again, commentary lines that made no sense, what, 6 months ago? When the Rift Scuttler was just a bonus that you took when nothing else is around. Now, of course, one of the big ways to grow your lead as a jungler was, of course, counterbalanced by all the different experience changes. So it's not like junglers got stronger, but you gotta say, Tarzan's been flexing in Challenger and in the LCK. He's not quite rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, like we saw many, many moons ago, people like Double Lift and Wild Turtle were able to do. Yeah. But in Korea, he is rank 1, rank 7, and rank 11. That's a lot of games to play in Challenger and keep up your win rate.
Yeah, he also had a lot when Griffin had a little bit more time to play solo queue. He had 3 in top 10 as well, so slipped down a little bit with that 11th place, but damn, Tarzan has been ripping through solo queue.
And just in a score-like fashion, he's definitely one of these pathing, smart, intelligent junglers, not overwhelming people with mechanics, but no slouch on that either. He very often knows where to be, and it definitely lends to the kind of mystique Griffin have as this wordless team. That same interview with CV Max talking about the idea of shot calling and saying shot calling may be outdated at the highest level in 2018. Whereas if all members on a team are of on one mind, they don't even need to mouth out a shot call or plan things out. They all go with the same mindset and execute before the enemy team has even got their shot call fully pronounced.
Yeah, it's not even a question. It's not a decision that you have to make. It's this is what's happened, and we all know what we're supposed to do in this circumstance.
The amazing thing is you read that interview, and if it's a team that's losing, you're laughing at it, right? You're like, well, this is a lot of waffle, but what are you talking about? But it passes the eye test, and he has the results, CV Max, to back it up, and you actually do start reading into things you would never have considered as an analyst, that actually the skill cap of the game, the amount that can be wordless and doesn't need to be put out there, can include things like team fighting, and who knows where you go from there.
Well, Def, thinking about a face check, Score's going to make his way in potentially at the right time. Tarzan, is he just going to throw out a seismic shot just in case? They're facing off. Oh, he throws it in there. Tarzan's given away. Seismic shove avoided by Mata this time. It's a stalemate in the end.
Tarzan's the one that blinked first. He was actually scared and put his E out the Unraveled Earth in the wrong direction because of the sweeper. Didn't end up mattering, but he was definitely quaking in his boots and getting out of the bot lane. That wasn't ships in the night. That was some murky waters with sharks swarming. Score and Tarzan, the big sharks of LCK Summer, but no one's getting the feed just yet.
See Yukal trying to fight off Chovy here. Did manage to get his Hex Core upgrade very early this time around. That's good news, but this is bad news for KT fans. The Sword going very aggressive. As soon as that accelerated shock blast lands, Smeb has to be scared.
Credit to the KT drafting. I think in game number 1, they tried too many things and ended up getting bitten by the Urgot flex pick. In this game, we're all right. I was right there saying J spot lane again. He played it not that long ago. It seems like a J spot to have a strong lane. They also agreed with the Gnar and then said, wait, what if it's Jace top? Pivoted, went Cho'Gath. It's not much better, but the Gnar really gets undone a lot by the Jace because Gnar is a lot more situational about his team fighting. Cho'Gath's only team fighting. The Jace, he's still getting help, but it's 2v2 topside.
Yeah, oh, Rupture's going to land here. There's the flash to come in from Smeb's, just going to eat the Jace. And now Tarzan, he's in so much trouble. Seismic Shove doesn't do nothing to the Ragnarok. And Score grabs the second one for KT.
All about being in the right place at the right time. Tarzan for the level 3 gank. This time the counter gank could not have been sweeter. That's 2 kills, KT topside, where the Jace previously was having run of the lane.
And now a lot of pressure down on the bottom side as well. KT start actually moving up. Tarzan had been down there so many times. Certainly a necessary gank to come down from Score. Perfect timing for KT, and now everything very even.
And this is just the magnum opus of any competitive jungler. I don't care if you're talking about professional players or solo queue players. You sit down and you just watch the minimap of this game because Tarzan and Score will take turns just making the sort of reads and influential decisions in games and deciding them. That was our table setting, was this game would be blown open by these two, but there are advantages here and there for either squad. This time Score gets the Olaf into Tarzan and gets it into the lane at the right time to cement the double kill.
That being said, the damage had been done bottom side of the map, so Griffin have got their Yasuo to a point where he's got a 12 CS advantage over a ranged opponent bot side. And yes, you can say all the things you want about Windwall being fantastic against Kai'Sa, things like that, but he's still melee. It's still hard.
Overall, even though the gold lead is slightly there for Griffin, the kill lead is there for KT. KT has that momentum, the 2 kills. The actual variable that I think is actually unique to this game is the CS values are still very high for Sword, and the surprising one, of course, Viper being in the head of CS against the Kai'Sa. But even more than that, because Sword didn't flash in that gank while he died, he can return to equilibrium of just punishing the Cho'Gath. If his flash is down, he can't do that as easily. So the lane state in top doesn't change, even though 2 kills, 1 each go to Cho'Gath and Olaf.
Well, Score was forced to take the blue buff here, not stolen away by Griffin, and they don't even lose their control ward. Looks like the Cloud Drake could be on the menu for the Griffin squad, but first, another Rift Scuttler for Tarzan. He's getting greedy on them now.
Scariest thing about this game happening today is the timing. We have ULCS 3rd or 4th playoff, and then into NA after this. Everyone is going to look at this game, and if they didn't know it from the LPL, know that Urgot is really powerful and really flexible. And we're going to see some handful of games, Urgot games, in other regions because the power level can't be denied.
It is just silly. I feel like Time Warp Tonic is just a pretty busted rune at this point in time and helps him so much.
He's not supposed to also go even in every mid lane. That's where it's getting really crazy.
Yeah, we're really double dipping at this point in time. And now you got a 4-man gang.
How many dips now?
On the bottom side. Weaver's Wall to come down as Deft. He's got all of his buttons available. Has to flash the seismic shove, but that's a great headbutt out from Mata, but Deft is still in trouble. Have they wasted too much time though as Score? He's making his way down. They still have the vision control available. That undertow was high value.
They have to go down. They cannot go through the river and avoid the turret. Chovy's there to tank it up. Deft so good. He used the killer instinct to get over the wall, and then Alistair spares his AD carrier's life. It was a Q flash coming in from the Yasuo. The headbutt timing meant they could never arm the last breath because of the displacement not allowing it to be cast.
Yeah, really, really nicely done. You can see that both of these teams understand that the bottom lane is extraordinarily important.
But the best part is they're both playing at the highest level in the grand final. KT have had trouble being clutch, and Griffin are a full rookie squad, and yet we're getting super high quality League of Legends.
Certainly are. Games 1 and 2, anything to go by. Both of these teams certainly in the mindset to win. But here in Game 3, only one team will go up to match point. So important in a series like this. Win in Game 3 after things are even. Such a weight off your shoulders. Now gets another feast stack as he eats up this minion wave. Feel pretty good about his nullification of this lane. 8 CS behind, but that is basically nothing, especially when he's 1-0-1.
Again, buyer beware in other regions about the Yasuo Tahm Kench bot lane. Remember, this is Tahm Kench with a much shorter Devour cooldown. And if this is patch 8.16, 8.17, Tahm Kench, you bait out a W and then you got an hour to go bot lane and kill the no summoner Yasuo who went aggressively. On this patch, you can baby the no flash Yasuo who can avoid a lot of skill shots, but then just be devoured and also live. So the patch here is actually relevant to Viper bringing out the Yasuo.
Right now you can see that ward. Very, very relevant as well. The KT understanding that they need to respect Tarzan's positioning on the map. It's played around where Score has been so well, despite the top death in that lane, but it was just fantastic timing from Score more than anything else.
Best sign for KT is they've been able to stick multiple control wards topside. Jason to Cho'Gath usually means a Rift Herald, an early turret, a rotation, but because Score got the counter gank, topside control is not actually with the Jace in terms of map control, it's just in terms of lane control for the side of Griffin.
Well, Tongue Lash is going to slow down the Olaf, but he's not too worried about any of this as Void Seeker is going to find Lehens. It's not exactly what you want. Now Smeb, he's looking for a solo kill of his own. His sword's getting slowed down. Thankfully, he can bring the hammer down. Get rid of the big dinosaur.
Thought we were getting flashbacks to Smeb being taken down on the Aatrox by the sword Cho'Gath in game number 1.
Well, speaking of being taken down, Mata has to use the ultimate. Try and survive this one. Turret shot comes down onto Viper. Remember, the flow is not going to get eaten from the shield if it's a turret shot. So he will take actual health damage.
And this will probably mean turret to the side of Griffin. We're seeing the fullbacks here. So, yep, goodbye bot side. There's another AD Kai'Sa. Another little spoiler. This is based on watching a lot of Vipers. AP Kai'Sa and solo queue is if you go heal, it's usually going to be AD, and the teleport is to make the AP Kai'Sa even more of a roaming threat. And also, you don't have much lane presence for a long time, so you take a bad trade, you just leave and teleport back in. So that extra back in the early game, the heals to double down on fighting early, and with Q already evolved, there's definitely skirmishes Kai'Sa wins.
Right now, KT looking to try and put pressure elsewhere. You can see Mata turning up in the mid lane with Score waiting in the wings as well. Bottom lane, Griffin are going to go back home, but very successful on the bottom side of the map. 2,000 gold. The lead in the early game here for Griffin. Not something that KT are used to as Hex Splash going to get Mata over this wall.
The Griffin game plan for sure would have read, go bot lane, get the turret, and you get Rift Herald for free because, of course, Cho'Gath versus Jace. The great warding from KT has stopped the top lane from being that same presence of power in terms of getting the Rift Herald. They're actually going to have to send a lot more members to get it. And that bot lane turret and Rift Herald at 10 minutes still hasn't happened at 15 minutes. So, again, Score's counter gank has been the one variable to really help KT stick the landing in the early game. It could have ballooned after that early gank has allowed Yasuo a super free lane.
Yeah. And Yasuo is going to go the aggressive build here as well. So Viper opting in for a second item, Infinity Edge, is big damage.
Could be Guardian Angel also.
That's true. That's true. It's
BF
not the
sword.
Sterix gauge.
Yeah, BF Sword in terms of having 1,300 gold early is better than piecing together 1,200, buying a Joram's Fist, and then being short of damage for a while. I think we'll still see all those items eventually. That's just a typical Yasuo build, 4 items, but the order definitely depends on the snowballing.
It used to be every single time. Now it does seem like Sterix Gauge has been more popular. Do respect Viper being a little bit more aggressive with his decision. It's the knock up here on the UCal.
Lands swapping through Summoner spells. Ghosting to put down a ward. In fact, not Ghosting to put down a ward with Bite.
Yeah, okay, the Abyssal Voyage is going to come down. Smeb could be in trouble here as Score turns up. He's waiting. The Devour comes in from Lehens. Smeb lasts a very long time, but there's the last breath, and that is the last one for the Cho'Gath on the map.
Nice rotational play with the Tahm Kench. Not the bread and butter of Griffin. Only their 3rd Tahm Kench game all year, showing no priority through the previous Tahm Kench meta. They get a pick, they get a Struck, they get a Drake as well. Nice little leads for the side of Griffin, taking advantage of the bot lane turret being down.
Yeah, now with this lower range composition from Griffin, having 2 Cloud Drakes is actually quite relevant, given the fact that they do need to close distance on UCal and Deft.
Again, just a Tahm Kench thing. So weird. We had this one-day meta. I've talked about it a couple of times here, but it's that weird scenario where 3 weeks have gone, thus the semifinals is outdated in terms of all these new picks like the Urgot. Also, we have people screaming on 8-16 for like Worlds qualifiers, might even end up being on 8-17, playing on 8-17 solo queue, and then finding out good stuff that might have been small buffs, but reminded you, hey, these picks are good, and then you're backfilling them onto 8-15. So much has developed that it feels like almost the entire previous parts of the season could be just highlighted, and then we get this one-day meta that's a bit of everything and coalesces in what should be a very vibrant best of 5 in terms of picks.
And we've already seen it illustrated as well. The Urgot priority coming out of nowhere. We saw the Aurelia that you were talking about as well be such high priority. And it's already been such an evolution. And now, with the next few games that are going to come up, I'm hoping that we get all of them here, Papa, because there's so much still to learn, and we've only got 1 day to learn it.
I do appreciate, though, compared to other scenarios where you patch for the grand final and it's new stuff that no one's seen and it just ends up being a bit of a crap fest because no one knows what's good and what's bad. At least this is all stable patch, development over time, 3 weeks of refinement and scrims. There's a lot of thought gone in. We're not getting Fiesta picks by any means.
Well, UCal, he's in potential trouble. His Score has the Predator that goes down. UCal still very comfortable. A great Devour comes in. Viper once again saved by his support. Lehens just delivers him to the back line. And KT now moving over towards this Rift Herald. It's a big flank to come down from Chovy. It's underneath the turrets where they're going to land. Ultimate does hit, but the Fear Beyond Death is not going to hit at the right time. Smeb puts himself in front, gets a nice double knock-up. It's another Devour from Lehens who saves Viper's life.
They have so much burst damage and they're fishing for a 25% health someone to execute. They don't get the execute. Will they get the turret? Big defense from KT. Remember, they have Victor.
They do, and they've got a split pushing Kai'Sa as well. So KT not looking to actually fight. Deft is just getting free waves on the top side of the map.
KT are doing the, all right, bot lane for Kai'Sa didn't go that well. Let her side lane until she's ready to hit her item. Do not fight at 1 item Kai'Sa, 2 item Kai'Sa is the go button. So Griffin know they're going to outnumber at different moments, but with Victor's reliable wave play, Armada.
Whoa, there's the flash pulverized sword taking a lot of damage. Another Devour is going to come in, but Deft turns up just as it wears off. Doesn't have the opportunity to get himself forward. Holds onto his summoner spells as well. You can see playing so much more reserved before he has those items.
Trevi's ult on cooldown was attempted, but of course it find the execution in the previous fight. They'll keep fishing for that. That gives Chase a different role in team fights, because now that burst range is super high when it comes to when you can actually pick up a kill. Chase often does big EQs, and you might say, okay, but Cho'Gath's been in the meta, he's the same. Remember that Urgot's execute is ranged, and that's the big thing. You chuck out a whole load of spells. If they'll hit on one person, you got to kill.
Yeah. Slightly different here, and it's not the pair of Cho'Gath and Urgot that we said was so beautiful in game number 1. So now one team gets one team gets the other.
The pairs have been broken. We had Urgot and Kai'Sa as well. So
in fact, it was all 3.
It was all 3, and that ended up being far too much for KT to be able to handle. This game, it was very clear when they weren't banned that one team was going to get 1, and we wondered, would it be Kai'Sa or Urgot? Because Urgot always wins lane, you always go for the early game power spike rather than, man, Kai'Sa can really dominate late because you harbor hope that you're able to out-macro and thus minimize team fights from being the only win condition in any team. So far, it's been a very, very low kill game. Only 4 kills so far. But both those on the Yasuo, and you bet right, Atlas, he's got himself a pretty cool sword.
Yep, that Infinity Edge is done. Now Viper is ready to go. He was like, oh, I had a 3-item power spike in game 1. I want a quicker one. What's a pretty good 2-item power spike? I'd say Phantom Dancer Infinity Edge is pretty good.
He's only short of a stopwatch. That would be lovely to throw in there for some more outplays.
Beggars can't be choosers.
You know, after that early gank, he didn't have to be a beggar. He got promoted. Someone gave him a handout, and he's gleefully accepted it and made his .com fortune because the Infinity Edge is ready to go. In many ways, Griffin are, but KT close to the Rage Blade and now trying to get map control around Baron.
Should be able to do so relatively easily. Not going to spot the ward in the back of the pit. Here's Lehens going to take a bit of damage. Yukao once again, exhausted. He can't get out of this one.
Goodbye.
Just disintegrated by Chovy, and now the fight is on. KT, they still want it. Tarzan's getting chased out by Score as Chovy is on his own. Has the disdain of now Viper. See his positioning. See whether he can actually get this one to work out. Depth fighting on the top side, but he's just going to get taken down. All too easy here for Griffin, and KT just botched the fight.
If Urgot gets the ult, the Terrify also CC'd Smeb, and from there it was very, very all over the place. Def couldn't choose his moment like he could in game 2, like Viper could in game number 1. It was with Devour still open, and now they want Baron, and they want to stop Score getting near the pit.
Yep, half the health bar on this Baron as Lehens. He's just playing guard Catfish, and this is going to be all too easy. 22.5 minutes into the game, and Griffin are going to take the Baron this time.
Because of the execute making a 5v4, this can't be another game like game number 1, where at the time, Griffin didn't have a lot of initiation, but they could always ensure when the fights were happening, and the time to use Killer Instinct was predictable. Here, Def never had a moment to go in. The fight never happened, and he was able to do the 4D chess and swoop in. He had to choose 2 bad situations, chose one to get nothing out of it, and Griffin get the maximum and minimize the relevance of the Kai'Sa, who also did not have Rage Blade.
Yeah, well, if they can win the game within 30 minutes, then KT just won't be able to get to that critical mass on the Kai'Sa.
Also analysis of every Jace comp ever, so that's another thing here. Griffin weren't looking for a long time, they were looking for a good time. So far, that has got them a Baron, 3 Drakes. Clouds of lower value, but the Infernal starting to burn some worrying signs into the KT side. KT need to regroup around Def, but when's the time when right now all this damage and the Urgot execute means that these fights are going a lot shorter than Def would prefer?
Yeah, exactly right. Especially if they're going to be fighting in the jungle as well, where he can just get pinned down and taken out. Can't use the supercharger to have that extra mobility because you can't run into a wall. That particular item, sorry, with that ability, knock up here onto Smeb. They're not going to be able to invest. Okay. Voidseeker's going to land here from Deft, who does have the Rage Blade completed. Wants to stack it on the minion wave, and KT not going to lose this inner turret for now. The Jace split pushing on the top side. As you'll notice as well, Smeb has taken the spellbook as well, so he's got an ignite. He can be quite a threat in these fights, but not going to be able to stop this split push from Sword.
Start counting how many minions Griffin have killed that KT have not. There is a 70-odd CS lead in top, 20 in the jungle. We're at 90 already. Down 10 in mid lane, so back to 80. It's also about 30, 40 in the bot lane. We're over 100 minions that have been lost to turrets that KT haven't been able to pick up. That means the Kai'Sa is behind. That means everyone on KT is behind. And now, unless Mada and Cho'Gath get CC down, that right now they're not going to get anywhere near without being spotted, Kai'Sa can't get going. And that means KT are stuck in neutral. They haven't even got into second gear.
And right now, Yukao can't deal with Sword either. He thought that he might have the wave clear to help out, but not when there's a Baron buff as Weaver's Wall is going to trap Marta. Does get out of the way of a lot of these skill shots. Has to use the ultimate though if he's going to keep himself alive. No, actually holds onto it. Oh, that accelerated shot plus, and Tarzan finishes it in the end. Yeah, gets it with the smite.
Could it be any more?
Falls.
Could it be any more poetic than Tarzan's smiting score out of life? Well, actually, it was Marta, but close enough.
But yes, I mean, it's almost the same because it's KT and their base is going to be broken. Griffin staring down the barrel of a match point here in this game. 25 minutes in as well. It's a shellacking so far for the Griffin squad as now Smeb trying to get them out of his house.
Can't kill him, it's too slow.
And Chobi, he's got the Gargoyle Stone Plate. He's going to use the flash, so respecting KT, but still, he ain't gonna die.
Oh boy, Urgot first pick, like we predicted, Urgot deciding the game, even though you could say it's been about the gank, it's been about other things. He's just too reliable in what he does a bit of too much, as we can see. Yeah. Chovy rolls out, he's even tankier now, hooray.
And also, the Olaf hasn't worked as a counter to the Talia in any sense of the word. Just hasn't necessarily been the kind of game that KT were looking for in the draft. And Griffin have just played it out immaculately.
Again, love the read by Tarzan to gank so early in the bot lane. Not a common play. Rather than play around Talia's ability to contest the enemy jungler, contest the bot lane. Got the bot lane going. And again, Viper on Yasuo carry is... He was about 60 CS up a moment ago.
Yeah.
He's been able to pick up some farm, but he has straight up won this lane because of that gank, freeing him from any pressure.
And now, I mean, we've said so many things about Kai'Sa and her ability to win games, as that's a hell of a Baron power play.
5,600 gold power play for you LCS watchers. Gotta do the quick maths out here. Shout out to Quick Shot.
But that is not including the gold you get from the Baron as well, so that's an even bigger Baron power play. Just silly stuff. 12,000 gold. Here's the lead now for Griffin. Oh. They've ballooned this one all the way out of control, and you can see it represented in the items. 3 for the Jace, 3 for Chovy, and 3 for this Yasuo, who has the dream at this point in time. You mentioned a stopwatch. Let's put 2 stopwatches into it, as the Guardian Angel is also completed.
Gotta say, one champion and player we haven't really spoken about in 2 Victor games is you, Carl, on that Victor.
Yeah.
Very big favorite of course, the other KT mid laner and Pawn, who is a very known Victor player.
Especially when he was in China.
Of course, in attendance, probably the most famous Victor player, Crown as well. But you understand the theory of Kai'Sa farms and then Victor wave clears. It just hasn't worked in practice. And watch Yukal just watch on in horror.
Yeah, not a lot that he can do here. Does have the flash available, but the tower's going to go down. Weaver's Wall helping out there. KT deciding to try their luck on the top side of the map as Chovy looking to try and go 1 versus 3, but not going to be the case as Def Killer Instinct very early. But now that's on cooldown for nothing, and Sword's going to take this inhibitor for free.
Not sure if they broke through the shield of Chovy. Seems very healthy. Able to have Viper teleport up, and that was able to dissuade KT from doing anything. Def still doesn't have the items Atlas. We've had so much 4-5 item Kai'Sa. We're stuck at 2.5, and that 2.5 is not finding too much value. They don't get the bot lane inhibitor. They only end up with mid lane inhibitor, and they don't take down all 3 inhibitor turrets. None of this is super good news at 28 minutes. That's definitely an embarrassment of riches in terms of Griffin's game state, but it does mean that minions push in, and hopefully they can find a way to actually pick some up, as the Flame Horizon feels like a while ago for Sword over Smeb.
Yeah, Smeb's been having a day, a rough time. On the top side of the map, that's 2 games now, not in a row. Game 2 is fantastic, but game 1 not so good. Sword certainly showing that the time off has been great for him.
If not for Victor, there could have been 3 people at 300 CS on Griffin before KT had 1.
Yeah, it's been a rough time. That being said, everyone's farming ahead of the clock on the side of Griffin. They are picking up so much. Okay, we're looking to try and gank Chovy. The Baron is about to spawn as Smeb. Righteous Glory to try and get himself in, but misses the Rupture. Viper, great positioning now as well, and Smeb is going to have to flash to get himself out of the way. Viper very aggressive, but puts down the wind wall. He's going to be absolutely fine. Zoning Rupture comes in. Last breath. Not actually going to be utilized here against Score. The knockup was available. Abyssal Voyage to continue this fight. On the side of Griffin, they're looking for a scissor play. The pincer.
Watch Jace. Jace at the base.
Yeah, she's just looking to try and win the game. Marta's going to start this fight, but maybe they don't want to now. stopwatch going to be utilized? And Sword just says, okay, have fun in the team fight, boys. I'm going to win. But no, it's Smev that makes it home. Now KT, they're a man down in the fight, but Chovy should get taken out. It's going to be Yukal that grabs that kill. This fight continues. Oh, the stopwatch in the little mini video, but it's not enough.
I think
he's looking to try and get the damage. No one can actually back in time score. Can he get there? He's running as fast as he can, but I don't think he'll make it.
Oh, he got it!
And they save it, but not enough. The minions finish the job, and it's now match point for Griffin.
Griffin with the big plays going Yasuo bot lane in 2018 Summer Grand Final. We thought the awesome dudes are gone, but the prototype of them is still here, and they're able to take them out. The minions do the last of the dirty work, but don't mistake anything. That was hard work from Griffin, paying off a very creative draft.
Yeah, a beautifully creative draft and a creative finish as well. Sword understanding that he does a hell of a lot of damage to turrets with the hypercharge. And this cup is looking more and more Griffins as the day goes on. I had a feeling, Papa. I felt like it was going to be a 3-1, one way or the other. And now it's looking like it could be a reality for Griffin. And it means the two teams will be sending after today, if they get the win, to Worlds will be KT and Griffin.
You and I and all viewers watching along the way have been pinching ourselves about the Griffin anime story. I think we're up to the last episode, Atlas. If there's an epilogue, maybe it doesn't work for them. The next episode is the one where they win. You know what? That sounds like a season ender to me.